What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Justin from Justin Paul Sports, and this is the last weekend before one of our favorite American holidays, Thanksgiving, coming up. Everybody's got short work weeks. You're going to fry a turkey, grill a ham, have prime rib, and watch the Green Bay Packers go into Detroit and ruin their Thanksgiving just like they did 2 years ago. We know how that goes because Thanksgiving, the Lions at home on Thanksgiving ain't exactly something worth any delight. So we're excited. Next weekend is also rivalry weekend. We're going to definitely run our show Black Friday on the same schedule. We might do something a little earlier in the week to cover the games on Thursday. But with that being said, without further ado, let me bring in my co-host with the most from the great state of Mississippi, Bobby from Bobby's Big Board. Make sure you like and subscribe to his channel. He's got the best Dynasty rankings out there. Anything you want to know during the season, fantasy football, off-season stuff, his off-season stuff is incredible stuff. So what's going on, Bobby? He's feeling under the weather. How are you feeling now?
We're good, man. We're good. We're gonna cover this stuff. We're gonna go over some college football and do our pick'ems for NFL, college, and we'll do the start sits just like we always do. If you're new around here, come check it out. You'll have a lot of really good content here. So thanks everybody that's watching thus far.
Free plays this week. That is correct. I've been on a heater. 4-0 on my free plays this week. This has been really good. Like, I crushed it with Maction. I think I only got one Mac game wrong in the past 2.5 weeks. Absolutely been great stuff. It's been a good betting week. The week before, I was down on the free plays. I was just swinging and missing. But you always stick with your formula when you're betting. You don't want to do anything to try to break your luck, because that's when you start losing. And I don't even like to use the word luck. It's just don't break your system. You want to keep going with what's best for how you're betting and how you're profiting. And I am up on the year. My paid picks are crushing it. I'll have a card up for tomorrow. My free play tonight is Florida State. If you guys like and subscribe to this channel, you'll get my free plays every day without notice. But with that being said, Bobby, let's go ahead and get the show on the road.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go ahead and start right into college football like we do every single week. I had a pretty week this week. 500 actually. This is
last week's games.
This is our last week's game. 1 second, everybody. I didn't update my thing. That's why.
Yeah, you got to be nice if you're going to leave comments, buddy. This is our show, so you can have a little fun, but just be mindful.
He loves my hair.
Brother. That's all right. It's a friend of Bobby's, so just be respectful. That's all we ask. In the meantime, we're going to be pulling it. You're going to be pulling up. Do you need to do the slide? Or we can just go straight into the NFL.
No. We're good. I have it all ready to go.
Okay. Bobby is the executive producer of Cover 2 Cash.
Bang.
Here we go.
Sorry about that. This is week 13. I was the one that had the bad week last week. Went 1-4. You went 3-2 last week. That was a tough week for me, but that's why you're the sports bettor and I'm the fantasy guy. But first game we'll go ahead and talk about is there's not a lot of really good matchups this weekend. You know, this is like the top end of it, and then everything else is kind of after that. A lot of teams are playing cupcakes right before rivalry week. It happens. But this first game, definitely not a cupcake game for either one of these teams. Number 22, Missouri, going on the road to play Oklahoma, who's coming off the big win against Alabama. Oklahoma with that momentum are minus 7-point favorites versus Mizzou. And I don't know, Oklahoma's so streaky, but I guess I'm going to go with Oklahoma here minus 7. I think they have the better defense by a lot. They actually have healthy quarterback play, so I'm going to go with Oklahoma here.
Well, I think Bo Pribula might be back for this game for Missouri, and that would be humongous. I mean, they started off the season smoking hot.
Yeah.
And I think in this situation, when you got 7 points, and like you said, with Oklahoma's defense, I mean, they had an amazing game last week against Alabama. Single-handedly, that's the reason they won the game, because offensively, they were just a disaster. It was a defensive struggle last week for both teams. But I think that Missouri, is going to put Ahmad Hardy to the test here. I'm going to take the points here. I'm going to take the points. I'm not so sure that the Tigers can win on the road. If they do, we're going to talk about college football's playoff seeding being absolutely ripped open again, because Oklahoma will be out. They've got two SEC losses already, so this would absolutely put them on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
And by the way, once we're done with these picks here, I want to talk about the college football rankings because I wasn't too thrilled with them. Now, not bias withstanding, just based on some of the criteria when we're looking at you, Notre Dame. But I'm going to take Missouri in the points here. I think Ahmad Hardy, in Oklahoma, sometimes when you pull off a big win, we're going to see the resolve of a college football team if they're able to maintain this kind of standard going with Brent Venables. Definitely doing better compared to last season nonetheless, but it should be a good game. That's one of the better games on the schedule.
And Ahmad Hardy, guys, I was hyping him up big in the offseason. He was actually Missouri's key player for me when we went over the SEC. Every SEC school, we went over that in the offseason. We'll probably do something similar in the next coming offseason. But, yeah, I had Ahmad Hardy as the go-to guy for this Missouri offense. And what he did against Mississippi State this past weekend was terrible for us. Like 18 carries, 300 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Just destroyed us all game long. So, yeah, in 2027, that dude's probably primed to be a first-round pick. But we'll go up to some Big Ten action up next. I think this is probably the marquee matchup of the week. Number 15, USC, going to Eugene, Oregon, playing number 7, Oregon. Oregon's minus 9.5-point favorites. I like USC a lot here. I've been rolling with USC a lot. People were saying that they weren't a ranked team a good portion of the year. They were just like, banging on them a little bit. And I like USC's talent offensively. Love their wide receivers. Love their running back. Their quarterback plays very good as well. And I think this is a make or break spot for Oregon. And I don't know, man. I think USC can pull the upset here. So I'm definitely taking the points plus 9.5 USC.
Man, I don't know. Lincoln Riley just has to prove that he can win on the road, right? Oregon has, if USC does not win this game, they can kiss their college football playoff hopes goodbye. This would be it for them. It's a better season for USC this season than it was last season, but I still think, 9.5, man, it's really tough to go against Oregon at home. But I'm going to take them. I'm going to take Dan Lanning and that crew. I like that their roster better than USC's by that much. Lincoln Riley just doesn't play defense. In Oregon's defense has played better down the stretch. USC's offense is pretty prolific, though it can keep games close. But they don't exactly light up the scoreboard, I guess would be the way to put it. I'm going to take Oregon. I'm going to lay the 9.5 here. I think the Ducks quack it up at home. And classic Big Ten matchup going on there. Big Ten, y'all.
Yeah. All right. Well, next up, we have another SEC matchup here. Number 20, Tennessee, going on the road to play the Florida Gators in the Swamp. Florida, one of the front runners for the Kiffin job. My sources are saying Kiffin is 100% the LSU Tigers coach. Already done deal. We'll see if that actually plays out or not. But regardless of that, Tennessee are minus 3.5-point favorites, even though they are going on the road. And I think this is one of those classic SEC beat-em-up matchups where you just never really know who's going to win these SEC matchups down the stretch. I think Florida's got some decent momentum going. I like Florida here. They played decently last week. So even though they lost, I'm going to take DJ Lagway plus 3.5 here versus Tennessee.
I am not. I'm going to take Josh Heupel's offense, go and put belt to ass down there in Gainesville. Look, Lagway hasn't exactly been great this season. And I'm not a Tennessee fan, clearly. I'm an Alabama fan. But Tennessee's offense is absolutely prolific. It flows great. This isn't a good defense down there in Florida. I think this game's over actually at halftime. I think it's another just drubbing. Florida is just in a spot where they're looking for a head coach. It's hard. It's not fair to these kids. It's probably, I think it's their senior night. I don't know if they're hosting Florida State next week. But, I just like the Tennessee Volunteers way more on paper. They're pretty solid on defense. They were close with Alabama in the first half. They should have beat Georgia. They should have beat Georgia up there in Neyland. I don't think it's close. I think this line is pretty healthy. I could lay that. My model has this as Tennessee minus 7. So I'll take the Volunteers here, and I think that they cover pretty handily. I don't think Florida hangs around. I think this is an early exit to the stands, and we'll just go from there. Give me the I can't even say it without being disgusted. It's got to be the lighter puke shade orange over a regular shade of orange?
Yeah,
Sorry,
to
Bijan.
answer your question, I do not think he's as good as Bijan because I don't think he's as good out of the backfield as Bijan. So I do think Bijan obviously is the better running back. I think Genty is a better prospect than Ahmad Hardy. Just Ahmad Hardy reminds me a lot of Nick Chubb, which
Yeah,
obviously Nick Chubb was an amazing running back. Injuries really messed him up, but yeah, I think Ahmad Hardy is a lot like Nick Chubb. Uh,
good question. Yeah,
but going on to the next a team that we haven't talked about pretty much at all, even though the hype was through the roof last year and this year for Colorado. Number 25, Arizona State, team with a lot of talent. They're going on the road to play Colorado. And they are 7.5-point favorites, Arizona State is. I like the Sun Devils here. I think they're going to beat up on Colorado. But any thoughts on Colorado, the future? I mean, we haven't talked about them at all this season. I mean, they're just not really a notable team, but they have, Prime Sanders down there coaching. I don't know what the future of Colorado football is right now, but it's been mid. For the past 3 years, it's just been mid.
well, he doesn't have, he's the only coach for his son at quarterback, and he doesn't have Travis Hunter anymore. So Colorado doesn't have the roster. Arizona State still has Sam Levitt. They got a
Yep.
more determined coach in Kenny Dillingham, and they've still got that first round receiver Tyson on the side
Yep.
there.
He's a stud.
Colorado stinks. Like it's when I was younger, Colorado was actually a competitive football team. Even back in the days of Joel Klatt and Cordell Stewart, they always, they had a good rivalry with Nebraska. They used to be Big 8 rivals, and it was compelling football. And Colorado's just fallen off a cliff. I guess there's no major donors there, which is kind of crazy based on the economy of Colorado. You'd think more graduates in that state that had went there would have made some money and just do some donations, but they foolishly decided to pay Deion Sanders just for the notoriety. Otherwise, nobody would be talking about them. They would not be talking about them. The coaching staff is goofy. Everything about Colorado just doesn't scream seriousness with football. I mean, if you criticize Deion Sanders, he makes sure to let you know that he hears it, and he likes to camouflage it by saying God will bless or God will this, and it's just like those kind of people, and just got to get on with it. So, to hell with Colorado. Give me the Sun Devils. Belt the ass. Let's keep on going in the Big 12.
And we've got another kind of head coaching deal. We haven't talked about North Carolina and Bill Belichick pretty much at all this year. Duke, who's always been a very competitive football team, always getting to bowl games, borderline ranked team for the most part. They are going on the road to play the Tar Heels, and they're 6.5-point favorites. I like Duke here a lot. This offense for North Carolina is very anemic, despite the defense playing decently at times. I'm going to go with Duke minus 6.5, but there is a running back. I forget his name. He's got dreads. Running back for the Tar Heels, who I really like. We'll see how he does going forward, but I like Duke here nonetheless.
I'm with you on this one. I'm going to take the Blue Devils going down into Chapel. This is a basketball game. What are we doing here? Nobody's watching this game here. I know the pickings are slim because everybody likes to give the SEC grief because they're having their Division II opponents this week. It's the cupcake week. Why don't you guys schedule it early in the year? Who gives a shit? All right, who cares when you play them? When you look at some of the Big Ten teams and who they played at the beginning of the season, get out of here, Indiana. We're looking at you. We're looking at you. Oh, you got Purdue on the schedule. Whoa. Let's take it easy, guys. Let's not go ballistic. But nonetheless, I'm getting off track with Duke and North Carolina. I'm going to take Duke to lay the points here. I'm curious about North Carolina as well. I mean, I think they took a shot with a coach who has had success, won multiple Super Bowls, consistent winning record, understands the game of football. He's just, I think, like Pete Carroll, you get to a certain point, and it's just kind of time that the game passes you by. I think it's inevitable if you don't adapt. The only coach I've seen adapt to how football changes, honestly, it's not being a homer either, was Saban. When Saban started coaching in Alabama, he was a heavy defense run first, and then he hired Lane Kiffin and revolutionized the offense and changed the game forever with who he was recruiting. And well, not change the game forever, but change his coaching style to match what his roster is and what he wanted to do to stay current with the game, because it does evolve all the time. Sometimes you go to a 3-4, then you evolve back to the cover 2, such and such, so on, so on. But nonetheless, Give me Duke.
And then last but not least, two teams that, have been ranked this season. Louisville, they're going on the road to play SMU. SMU minus 2.5-point favorites. I like SMU's quarterback a lot. I like Louisville as well. I'm going to go with SMU, though, minus 2.5 at home. I think the home field advantage is going to get them there. And this is not really a big game. I mean, this is a big statement win for either one of these programs, but neither one of these guys are going to the college football playoff, and I think they're already bowl eligible. So this isn't a big make or break game for either program. But I like SMU here.
I'm going to take Louisville in the points. I think this game comes down to a field goal. The lines moved to 3, but at 2.5, I think Louisville can keep this, like some really close, goofy scoring football game. It should be an intriguing matchup for our friends out there in the ACC, because nothing says Atlantic Coastal Conference like a team in Texas. But nonetheless, Brett Lashley's a good coach. He got SMU to the playoffs last year. But I like Miller Moss, and I like what Louisville does here, and I like how they compete. They're kind of fun to watch. I don't have an ACC favorite team, but if I did, I would kind of be a little biased toward the Louisville Cardinal, It just, I don't know. There's something about them that I like. Maybe it's just because I can't explain it. For an ACC team, that's the only one I seem to enjoy to watch. But I'm taking Louisville to cover. I think that they can win this game down there in Dallas. And that's just that, for sure.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get right into the first game of the weekend. It's going to be the Chicago Bears. They are at home. They're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Bears, who are just continuously winning football games over and over and over again. They just keep winning these close games. They're minus 2.5-point favorites versus the Steelers. Doesn't look like Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing, so I don't know if this line has moved considerably or not, but it looks like Mason Rudolph's going to be taking the helm, which makes me feel even better about the Bears minus 2.5. I'm going to take the Bears here. I think this is another statement win for the Bears.
I haven't heard that Rodgers has been ruled out, but all 3 starting linebackers for the Bears are ruled out. With that being said, I'm going to take the Steelers to win the game. The Steelers have only won one time in Soldier Field since like 1960. They don't play every year. They've had, I remember one game in particular, Jay Cutler and Ben Roethlisberger had themselves a game. They're on Lake Michigan, but I feel the line's right. If Rodgers is playing, though, that is the owner of the Chicago Bears. He's owned them. And he's got better, he's got DK Metcalf down there. And without the linebackers, the Bears don't exactly have a lethal front 4. So I'm running the football all day long if I'm the Steelers. I'm going to give it to Jaylen Warren. Did you see Darnell Washington?
I did. Where he was just balling through people. Did you see how much he said he weighed?
Yeah, it was like 300-something pounds.
311 pounds. I didn't think he was 260 either. I was like, there's no shot.
He was my favorite tight end prospect in that draft. And I was screaming. I wanted Green Bay to get him. And they went with Musgrave. And I'm like, well, I guess that's that. And then they went Tucker Kraft later. And Darnell Washington was still on the board. And I was like, God damn it. I was like, I just wanted them to get him because he can catch the football. And you could see he's violent. Like, he's a violent blocker. I really liked him at Georgia. Yeah. I thought he was like, Georgia had him and Brock Powers as your starting tight ends. Like, there's zero doubt that they won that national championship because their roster, Ladd McConkey, and, just incredible players all across the board. But nonetheless, I think the Steelers win this game, so I'll take the Steelers in the points. I'm going to lay the money line on the Steelers. The Bears have been just scraping by, man. Like, this is not pick on the Bears, but they've just been pretty fraudulent with their wins. It's just kind of like Indiana football. They shouldn't have beat the Giants. And I think the Bears are going to get pushed in on Black Friday, too, next week when we talk about that game.
Well, it says a lot about Darnell Washington because not only do they have Jonnu Smith there, a guy that Arthur Smith is just in love with, but not only do they have him, they have Pat Freiermuth, who's a very good tight end, and Darnell Washington is still, with that committee in front of him, still getting out there making plays. It's definitely a statement. But we'll go ahead and get into this game. I do expect the Steelers to be running heavily, and regardless of who the quarterback is that starts, but I do think Caleb Williams is a start. He's only had 2-3 duds all year, and he's got more 40-point games than I believe anybody this year. So, like Caleb Williams here, he's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL for fantasy, so got to keep trucking with him. Rome Odunze, they didn't have a great day on offense last week, but Rome Odunze still had over 100 yards, I believe. I mean, he was cooking. So, I like him a lot as a start. Your wide receiver, too, is just great. Colson Loveland's continuing to have steady targets, steady catches, still making plays. Looks like he's totally taken over that tight end one role. So, like Colson as a start in your tight end spot. And then, like you said, I think they're going to run the ball a lot. So, I think Jaylen Warren is going to get a decent amount of touches here. And then DK Metcalf, last but not least, I think he can get a deep shot here or there. And, I mean, he's consistently been getting points. So, like DK Metcalf. And then for the sits, I'm sitting Aaron Rodgers and I'm sitting Mason Rudolph. I don't like, even though the linebackers are out, the secondary has been where this Bears defense has really been making plays. The DBs have just been taking the ball away at an alarming rate this year. And I think these quarterbacks are going to make some mistakes regardless of who starts. And then Roman Wilson, I had him as a buy at the beginning of the year because he was basically worth nothing. He hasn't really been showing up this year. DJ Moore, I thought he was going to do good this year. He's just been a rotational guy. I mean, not really rotational. He's getting the snap percentages, but he's just doing nothing with it. And then the run game for Chicago.
He's been getting out targeted. Luther Burden's getting more target share than him.
And I'll talk about that at the end. But DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, I think they are both very efficient runners, and they will get decent yardage with the touches that they have. But this is like, I think Swift had 14 carries. Kyle Monangai had 12 last week. So in situations like that, you just want to stay away from both guys because neither one of them is having the workhorse opportunity. But Luther Burden, now they did take him in the second round. One of the second-round picks was Luther Burden, and I thought he was super talented. But he's basically DJ Moore. He's just basically young DJ Moore is what his skill set is. So I was very confused as to what DJ Moore's role was going to be. Well, you see DJ Moore's role is slowly reducing as you see Luther Burden, the young shiny toy, coming in, making the plays. And I think as a fringe flex starter, I think you could start Luther Burden this week. And I'd feel okay about it.
Yeah, I like Luther Burden. I think he's we've talked about it every week how I just was irritated that the Packers got Matthew Golden over him. So, nonetheless, I like the start sits, but yeah, DJ Moore, I think his time is up in Chicago.
Yeah.
He could be like Brandon Ayuk, you know, who we'll get to when we talk about the 49ers. It's a good list, Bobby. I love to see it.
Well, let's go ahead and get on to the next game. An interesting game. The New England Patriots going on the road to play the Cincinnati Bengals. As of right now, it's Friday. It's Friday night, guys. We don't know who's starting for the Bengals. Is it Joe Burrow? He's had multiple full practices this week. He's been playing in drills over Joe Flacco this week. But the coach, I think Joe Burrow plays. I'm just going to be transparent here. I think Joe Burrow plays, and the coach is not going out there and just being like, hey, Joe Burrow, he's not even on the active roster yet. I do think that they're trying to make it as a last minute as possible. So
they got to remove him Saturday.
Right? Yeah,
they got to
Saturday at 3 p.m., I think, right? So I think they're going to wait till the deadline just to give teams the least amount of time to prepare for Joe Burrow. Now, Jamar Chase is suspended this game, and the Patriots have played really well on defense, and they are just beating. It's insane that the Raiders beat this Patriots team week one. That's just insane. But the Patriots, I do like this team. -8's a little scary for me just because Joe Burrow's probably playing. But, guys, I'm going to be honest. When Joe Burrow was playing, he wasn't playing particularly well. I mean, he played for the first, 3 weeks of the season. They weren't really that great. So I'm going to go with the Patriots -8. This is the line I feel the least confident about just because over a touchdown lines are just – you just never know with the NFL.
I'm taking the Bengals. I'm taking Joey B. As the young people say, he's got all that swag. I think he's itching to get back out on the football field. The Patriots have been beaten up and nobodies. It's like that that series in Rocky where they just had him fighting tomato cans. That's what the Patriots have been doing, and they lost to a tomato can. One of the worst.
Yeah.
So
that was a weird week 1, man.
And they're talking about putting Ramondre Stevenson back in the game already. Like, he's fully healthy.
There's no shot that happens.
Oh, there's a shot.
They can't do that. If they do that, somebody needs to be investigated. Like,
what are you going to do? Wait a second. Who are you going to investigate? Because the Patriots have been lousy, and Mike Vrabel's got them competing here.
I know.
So you can't throw them in the. It's not like they're 2-9. Then you can question everything you want to question.
Something happened to Travion, man. Travion did something because as soon as he gets on the field, he's going crazy. It's just it is what it is. I
find it amusing. I do. Like,
I don't understand, man.
Well, I think here's the thing. He said that he wants to make that like Montgomery and Gibbs, and I think he could do that. I think if you take some of the responsibility off of Ramondre Stevenson, he might perform better because he doesn't have to, carry the whole running back.
Yeah, he doesn't have to carry. That's true. He doesn't have to carry anything.
Well, he's not the worst running back, though. I'm going to be clear. He's not the worst.
No, he's talented.
Yeah, I think that if they do that, if they split, the backfield, I think that the Patriots would be just fine with that because I think that that's a better way to Mike Vrabel can set matchups and along those lines. But I'm taking the Bengals. I think this is a explosive, come out the gate, hit you in the mouth game. I know the Bengals defense is just absolutely abysmal, but I think that they can cover 8 points. I think that might be a little money line sprinkle just for the emotional sake of Cincinnati season there.
Well, you see for the start sits here. Joe Flacco is there. It's probably going to be Joe Burrow. I will start both of them. I don't feel bad about starting Joe Burrow or Joe Flacco, whichever Joe starts. But I do agree with you is I think a split backfield would benefit both the Patriots and Travion just because I don't think Travion's a 25 carry guy every game. He's not going to hold up. That's not the type of back you want him to be. Gibbs isn't that type of back. But if Ramondre goes out there and you keep him as the short yardage guy, you play him in those, long series where you want to dominate time of possession, I get that. But at the end of the day, if he keeps being a liability with the ball security, you have to find someone else. And there's a guy that's going to be in free agency this coming year named Tyler Algier. Go grab him. Tyler Algier seems like the perfect Patriot. Get Travion and Tyler Algier out there, and I think that would be a money backfield. But regardless, start sits, Drake May, he's the front runner for the MVP candidate right now. Got the rushing upside, you have to start him. If he's your QB1, absolutely grand slam. Travion, I think he's got the explosiveness. He's finally starting to prove me right why he was my RB2 in the class. I just need some more consistency with the carries and, give him 10 to 12 carries every single game and he will get you something. 4 or 5 catches a game, something like that, and he will get you consistent fantasy points. And then Stephon Diggs, man, versus this terrible Bengals defense, I think Stephon Diggs can cook and have a really good game. He's had multiple really good games as well. And then for the Bengals, I think Joe Burrow / Joe Flacco, whoever starts, I think they're good. Good to start as your QB2. And then T. Higgins. He's on an island by himself. So I think T. Higgins is going to be dominated with targets. Now, whether he does anything with them or not, I think T. Higgins is very talented. So I like him as a start. And then for the sits, Yoshi Voss, I think he's fine as a flex, but I don't expect him to come in and be like, I'm Jamar Chase. I don't think he's going to get 10 targets this weekend. So I wouldn't have high expectations. I don't like Chase Brown either. I think he's an okay flex starter right now, but he's just been way too inconsistent. And he was genuinely one of the worst running backs through the first 8 weeks of the season. He's finally came on strong a little bit the past few weeks. Mike Gesicki is coming out of injury. I think he's in practice now. Stay away from Mike Gesicki until he actually shows he can be a consistent asset. And then for the receivers, I'm staying away from Pop Douglas and Kyle Williams. Kyle Williams had one really great play, but hasn't done much outside of that. I think Pop Douglas and Kyle Williams are next year type of fantasy assets. Sweet. Well, we're going to keep on trucking to another. So Jackson Dart got ruled out today. for the Giants. So it looks like Jameis Winston's going to make his second straight start. But the Giants, they're going to Ford Field playing the Lions, who have just been kind of their play offensively last week was really concerning. With the front four that you have with the Giants, if you can put some pressure on Jared Goff historically the past 3-4 years has been really good against the blitz. Versus the Eagles, he looked terrible versus the blitz. And I think with that film out there, the Giants are really going to go out there, put a lot of pressure on Jared Goff, and make him make plays quickly. And I think the Lions are going to suffer again. I think they win the game, but I think it's going to be a lot closer than 10.5 points, and the line's probably swollen a little bit more towards the Lions with Jackson Dart being downgraded to out. Regardless, I'm taking the Giants plus 10.5 here. I don't think they win, but I think it's going to be a competitive football game because of the pressure that they put on Jared Goff.
So this line has changed substantially since this post. The line right now is Detroit minus 13.
Yeah, love the Giants here.
Well, I've tried to tell Lions lovers that, when you lose your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator, it's going to have an impact on your football team. And then you've got you got Dan Campbell halfway through the season decides he's going to take over play calling for the rest of the season. Well, when you do that, you make your offensive coordinator essentially impotent to have any kind of say of what's going on. I can't imagine how he goes back into that thinking that, he can game plan without Dan Campbell just saying, well, the hell with it, I'm going to make the plays. It's a little bit of a crack there with what's going on in the Lions. However, I'll also say this. The Lions are replacing Frank Ragnow, and they're running, I think one of their guards got hurt, and I think Dan Skipper's getting reps over there at left tackle, and he's not exactly the best offensive tackle. I mean, it's fun to put him out wide because he's so big, and he's been the offensive lineman that they like to throw to. He's a huge man. But the Lions' offensive line has been a disaster. I think that can be a key matchup here for the Giants, like you said. That front four is elite. I think you might see a breakout game for Abdul Carter here. And
he needs to have one.
Jameis Winston, had him in the game against Green Bay last week. He went. He was pretty cautious. He wasn't loose with the football. He's got a week of preparation now. They're going on the road, so weather's not going to be a factor. The Giants are so. I just don't like their receiving core, but I don't exactly fear the Lions secondary.
Yeah,
I think that this game is actually really close. I think the Lions do win the game, but I'm taking 13 points here. I think it's way too generous. If Russell Wilson was back there, I might consider it a little more because he's not exactly fleet of foot, and I think that players don't like Russell Wilson. I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
But there's something about the guy that rubs people the wrong way. But Jameis, everybody loves Jameis.
And they're going to play for him.
Back to the Jerome Ford statement of every time he calls a play, it's like he's got a surprise to tell you.
Exactly. So for the start sits, I do think Jared Goff, regardless of what pressure he gets, I think he's got enough upside to be a fantasy relevant quarterback this week. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the highest upside running backs in fantasy, so you have to start him. Same with Amon-Ra St. Brown. He didn't have the best week last week, but he still had like 12 targets. He only had 2 catches, but he's still getting the targets, and 9 times out of 10, he's going to come down with the targets. Last week was an outlier. You have to start him. Then, obviously, Jackson Dart just got ruled out today, so I think Jameis Winston's the start here as well. I liked the film on Jameis last week. I thought he made a few really good plays. He just had some crucial turnovers in the red zone. So, like Jameis as a start, and I like Wan'Dale as a start as well. I think he's going to get peppered with targets from Jameis Winston. Then for the sits, David Montgomery, I love his skill set, but he just doesn't get enough carries every single week to be relevant. Same with Isaac Tesla. He could get a touchdown here or there, but I think he's also banged up as well. So stay away from Tesla, even though I love his skill set too. Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, these guys, I think Slayton is a little bit banged up as well. I just don't know what Giants receiver is going to come up outside of Wan'Dale. I don't think you want to gamble on which one it's going to be either. Just keep your guy that's going to get you at least 10 points every week in Wan'Dale, and then don't worry about nothing else. And then last but not least, I'm not going with Singletary. I'm not going with Tracy. I'm not going with any of these Giants running backs. I'm just not. None of them are going to be consistently getting you points. I know Singletary had 2 touchdowns, but outside of that, he had like 2 yards of carry. So you're not wanting to start either one of those guys this week.
Where's Jameson Williams? I like him a lot this week over Wan'Dale as a start because he's been absolutely the last 3 weeks. He's been absolutely tearing up the scoring sheet. I was a little surprised to not see him on the start list.
With Jameson, I have a really love-hate relationship with him just because he will have 2 or 3 weeks in a row where he gets, a touchdown and like a 40-yard touchdown, whatever. And then he will go back to 1 target for 4 yards for 3 weeks in a row. He's just never been consistent. And I do think if he's on your team, you're probably starting him versus the Giants. He's just not a guy I love for fantasy. I don't like the boomer bust guys like Zay Flowers and Jameson Williams. I'm just not a big boomer bust guy.
Generally, I don't push back on a lot of stuff, but I'm a challenger here because Sam Laporta is out for the season.
Yep.
So with him being out for the season, I don't even know who's playing tight end for Detroit, with all due respect right now. And I think that changes the outlook of the offense here.
Absolutely, it does.
I think there's opportunity galore for him. I do. And he's so frustrating. It's frustrating for me to watch Alabama players play on other teams that I hate when they go pro. But his biggest Achilles heel is, he scored that touchdown last week and
he did something stupid.
Stop doing stupid shit when you're playing football and cost
He's just addicted to doing stupid stuff, man. He got arrested
Him and George Pickens have a contest to see who can be the bigger.
Dude, I don't know. George Pickens has been chill this year.
No, he didn't. He got a penalty
compared to the past few years.
Hold on. Last week he slid down the goalpost, got a 15-yard penalty against the Cardinals. They're down 2 possessions. It's 6 minutes left in the game. He catches a first down and decides to show the defender the football. It's a 15-yard penalty.
I thought that was kind of bullshit. I don't think that was him.
But just don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't do. If you're a wide receiver, we know what you can do. Don't do anything stupid to cost your team the game. Just don't do it. What is your problem? It's the most self-absorbed, and defensive backs are the same way. Stop talking all that trash.
Job, though. Defensive backs are going to talk trash so the wide receivers do those stupid penalties, right?
I guess, for me, it's watching Nick Saban not tolerate that shit. And if you saw an Alabama player taunting, that was belt to ass because, he had a grip on that. Coaches need to put a little grip on that. I can see if it's a big play, actually. I'm not no fun league, but if you get a sack, a turnover, just don't do the extra. Don't do the don't cost your team football games. Don't cost your team football. It cost somebody an extra point, and it ends up coming down to the game. I think it was Pickens doing that, or one of them. Somebody did that. Nonetheless, just get your head out of your rear end. I think Jameson's a start though. But good stuff.
We'll go ahead and get on to the next game here. NFC North matchup here. The Minnesota Vikings going on the road to play the Green Bay Packers. Both of these teams, the Vikings just lost to the Bears. The Packers, they've had a rough few weeks as well, even though they did beat the Giants last week. They just haven't had the best. Neither one of these teams have been explosive on offense the past few weeks. I like the Packers a hell of a lot more than the Vikings right now because even though I do not like Jordan Love as a quarterback, I think he's around middle of the pack for quarterbacks for me. J.J. McCarthy is just legitimately not a good quarterback. He's just not. I liked the film on him at Michigan when he did get to throw. But he's just not. He's objectively a bad quarterback right now. And there's not great press on him right now because of all the cringe stuff that he's been doing. And I think that's probably getting to him a lot as well because he's seeing that.
Well, don't do dumb stuff. I'm going to say this about this game. First of all, it seems like the Vikings play better on the road. If they win this game, they're 3-0 in the NFC North for all their road games, and they're wrapped up. And that's a humongous accomplishment. However, I liked seeing the Packers hold on last week against that Giants football team. I mean, the Giants were driving at the end of the football game.
Yeah.
Jaden Reed is in this practice window's open. I think he's going to play this week. I think he's going to be in the football game, and that's going to be a boost because the Packers receivers just have drop issues. Jordan Love has not been the problem. He has not. I've seen Wicks, who I thought had the best hands on this team. I've seen Wicks drop them. Dobbs drop them. They're missing Tucker Kraft. I even saw Josh Jacobs drop a couple passes. Like, it's getting to be crunch time. I mean, I think that the pressure's off a little bit with that win in New York. And I'm going to take the Packers to cover 6.5 here. I think that this, I think that they're going to get to J.J. McCarthy. I think this is a big-time Micah Parsons game because, the Vikings have Dallas Turner, who I think is an elite player, and Ivan Pace, who's kind of had more of a down season. But I'm going to take – I think Josh Jacobs – but Josh Jacobs may not play. And even if he doesn't, I'm still going to lay the points here because I do like the Packers' backup running backs to make plays. And I think we're going to see Jaden Reed show up if he plays. He had 2 injuries at once. He's healthy, coming off, We'll see. We'll see what they do. I think this might be a decent game for Luke Musgrave as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Now, I don't want to say anything negative about wide receivers or anything like that, but I do want to show you guys something real quick. I wish I could zoom in on this, but I want to give you guys a list of the names, first round rookie wide receivers since 2010. Yeah, it's not really working the way I want it to work, unfortunately.
Okay. Can you zoom?
No, I cannot. That's okay. It's fine.
Either way, that's fine.
I'm going to go ahead and just give you guys the list. It's every first-round rookie wide receiver since 2010 without a receiving touchdown through the first 11 weeks of the season. We've got Kevin White, who is one of the biggest busts in NFL history at the wide receiver position. Nelson Aguilar, who also didn't pan out. Devontae Parker, who did have a decent career but nothing great. Josh Doxson, bust. Laquan Treadwell, bust. Corey Davis, bust. Mike Williams was okay for a couple of years, but outside of that, not great because of injury. John Ross, bust. N'Keal Harry, bust. Rashad Bateman, I like Rashad Bateman, but he is turning out like a bust as of right now. Kadarius Toney, bust. Traylon Burks, bust. Last guy that we're going to talk about is Matthew Golden. I'm starting to get concerned with the usage and the overall just lack of production from Matthew Golden. I wasn't big on his film at Texas, but I thought that the Packers could actually utilize him better than what that's been happening. And as of right now, it's just not happening. So I'm starting to get genuinely, he's not on this list anywhere, but I'm starting to get genuinely concerned about, did the Packers miss?
Yes. I said it in the draft. Luther Burden, over and over and over and over and over and over. And they went with speed.
Yeah.
Matthew Golden could be he could be a returner. He wasn't even, in my opinion, there's no reason for him to not be producing right now. I mean, there's nobody on the book.
You got multiple injuries. Christian Watson's out. Jaden Reed is out.
Though. He's back, and he had 2 touchdowns last week. And I think that's another part of what can help this Packers offense against these Vikings. I think that's a big relief that Watson and Reed are back with Dobbs. Everybody's going to be healthy except Jacobs, but I don't give up on wide receivers in the first season.
Agreed.
Because you just don't know what to do. And that list you read, the only 2 people that really broke my heart was I thought Traylon Burks was going to be an all-world player.
Injuries, man. Beat him
And
to death.
Rashad Bateman had 9 touchdowns last year, so I can't call him a bust. I can't.
That's fair.
I think his offense is just a little bit different in Baltimore.
Absolutely.
So I think that if you put him in a more traditional offense, I think you'd see him be more productive. I really liked Rashad Bateman coming out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
This here.
So, like I said, Jordan Love, even though this defense is a little scary, Minnesota's defense, I like Jordan Love as a start here just because all of his weapons are healthy. Josh Jacobs, I think he should be playing. If he is playing, I'm starting him absolutely. But outside of that, I'm not really big on the Packers.
Not Watson either, huh? Even after 2 touchdowns last week and a touchdown the week before?
He's another one of those guys that is just super boom or bust. And
wait a minute.
I think Christian Watson is a guy that you could start in your flex, but I feel better about the other people on this list, like Jordan Addison, who is also a boom or bust type of wide receiver, but he's been more consistent throughout the time of him being out of suspension, right? So it's interesting. I think Christian Watson would be the 6th guy on this list.
I would just say with Watson, his injury history is what's been crippling to him.
Exactly.
And I wasn't super high on him coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
But every time he plays, man, he seems to find the end zone. Like I don't want to say he's touchdown dependent.
He's a freak.
But I think that I think we're going to see the Packers kind of start settling into what they really wanted to do offensively and have just kind of hobbled around this season with injuries. And, with the left guard just drives me up the wall. But nonetheless, I just think he's somebody that should be considered. He's the only wideout I would consider starting. Maybe you wait a week on Jaden Reed if he's going to play.
Exactly.
But I think that Watson.
I love Jaden Reed, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he led all wide receivers last year in fantasy points per target, and every time he touched the ball, he was getting maximum amount of yardage. But yeah, I think Christian Watson's a stud, and I think it's just been injuries with him, right? Just over and over. But Justin Jefferson, he had his lowest fantasy point game of the year last week, and JJ McCarthy has to figure it out.
Wait a minute. I'm not being funny. When's the last time Jefferson scored a touchdown?
He scored week 1, I believe. He scored week 1, like week 4, I think.
So he's got 2
touchdowns on the year. He's never been a big touchdown guy, but yeah, that's been a problem. It's not like they're not targeting him in the red zone too. He's just whenever you have Justin Jefferson, you put 2 guys on him on the red zone. That's just what they do, right? So that's part of the reason. But love Justin Jefferson. Still can't give up on him. I mean, he's one of the most consistent fantasy targets in the NFL, despite having terrible quarterback play. TJ Hawkinson, I think he's decent in the tight end slot for you. I don't think he's a top 5, top 7 even, but I think he's number 10-ish. And then Jordan Addison, last but not least, I think Jordan Addison is one of the better boom or bust wide receivers because he's been very consistent since he's came back. Then for the sits, stay away from Minnesota's run game. They are a 2-headed monster, and Aaron Jones is slowly but surely taking that backfield away, but I don't think they're going to consistently give him 20 carries a game because of the injury concerns with Aaron Jones. They're going to have Mason carry the rock as well, even if he's not super efficient. Emmanuel Wilson, I do like as a player, but like I said, I think Josh Jacobs will get the rock, and Emmanuel Wilson will be a role player. And Luke Musgrave, he's just got to show me he's a legitimate tight end first.
Yeah.
With Tucker Kraft being out, I saw Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave athletically very similar sort of tight ends. But Musgrave has just not shown to be a consistent fantasy option, even when they drafted him. I mean, his rookie season was just basically So, staying away from him. And then any Packers wide receiver not named Christian Watson. I think none of those guys, even Jaden Reed, who I love, I just need to see how he's recovered from the foot injury. So, all right, we'll go ahead and get on to the next game here. A snooze fest. Seattle Seahawks. Sam Darnold coming off a nightmare performance, 4 picks. Still had them in the game somehow. I think there goes Darnold's MVP hopes. I know he was really cooking this year up until that game. They're going on the road to Nashville playing the Tennessee Titans, who have just been the laughingstock. I don't know who they're going to throw to. Justin, I don't know who they're going to throw to this week because Elik's out, Calvin Ridley's on IR, Shamir DK, and that's it. That's all they have. So, and I know Chig's banged up this week as well. I just don't know what they're going to do offensively. I just don't. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I don't know. I don't like the 13.5 line because I don't think they win by 2 scores. I think it's just a run, and then win by 10 points type of game maybe. But I'm still going to go Seattle here. There's nothing that the Titans have on either side of the ball that's making me be like, okay, cool. I like the Titans. There's not a single player right now on that roster that makes me be like, okay, they can win this game.
Well, I'm going to lay the 13.5 here. I mean, Jeffrey Simmons is like the only elite player on that defensive side of the football. The Titans don't have a run game. Yeah. Cam Ward is still trying to figure this out, much to the chagrin of the league. You don't want to see your number 1 overall quarterback just having the season he has. What's crazy about him is he was the only player to dice up that Texans defense who looked like the 85 Bears on Thursday night.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy how that went. But I like this, who's going to stop JSN? This could be a 3-touchdown game here. It could be a 3-touchdown game here. Titans are fighting. They're not. You can tell they're putting in effort every week. And
yeah, absolutely.
This is a train wreck of a football team with old players, and Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard, and their offensive line is just man. The Titans have got to draft linemen in the next draft. I just can't see a scenario where they keep this one close. Seattle's going to be coming off that loss. They're going to be ready to get it right and stay afloat in the NFC West. I'll lay 2 touchdowns here. The Titans are that bad and the Seahawks are that good. There's enough of a gap here for me to see, Kenneth Walker or Zach Charbonnet, JSN. I mean, we could see some Torrey Horton might go off in this game.
Torrey Horton's out.
He's out.
He got declared out like a few hours ago, unfortunately.
Well, maybe we can see Cooper Kupp even drag this team. I just can see it. Like, I just don't see I know a Titans season ticket holder, and it's just like he still goes, and it's just got to be the Great Depression watching this football team this year.
I mean, there's just nothing exciting about either. I mean, there's no plays that you can be like, yay. So, as you can see,
no Titan.
For the starts, I like Sam Darnold. I think he's going to be out of there by the third quarter, end of the third quarter.
Will we see Jalen Milroe suit up, or will it be Drew Lock?
It's probably Drew Lock because they've been designated Milroe as the emergency QB since he fumbled like week 3 or whatever. So, because they would put him in on goal line sets and stuff like that, early on in the season, and he fumbled and turned the ball over once, and it's just, it's what happens. They throw you away. But Jackson Smith-Njigba has been playing fantastic. He leads the NFL in yards right now. He's just been cooking. You have to play him. There's nobody on the defensive side that scares me at all for the Titans. And then this is the first week, I think, that I've had Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker on the start side of the graphic. Yeah. And it's because they're going to be up so much that I think both of these guys legitimately have a shot to have 20 carries apiece. That's insane to say, but I think they're both going to get a good bit of work, and they're going to run the ball down Tennessee's throat this week. No Titan. If you go ahead and move your attention over to the sit side, you will see there's not a single Titan player that I'm going to start this week. I am sitting every single person. Even DK, I like DK as a return guy. I don't know how well he's going to be as a wide receiver 1, which is what they're going to ask him to do this week. So do not like any Titan this week at all.
It's hard to disagree. There's just a whole lot of trash there.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Ward's not even a guy that you want to start as a fringe QB2. But here is a matchup that I'm really excited to see. The Indianapolis Colts, who have been steamrolling people. I mean, steamrolling people this year. Jonathan Taylor just seems to have a 3-touchdown performance every single week. They're going to Arrowhead Stadium playing the Kansas City Chiefs, my favorite NFL team. We're 5-5 right now. It's time to put up or shut up. And Arrowhead, even though we're 5-5, is still one of the hardest places, if not the hardest place to play in the NFL. And because of that, the Chiefs are minus 3.5-point favorites. This is one of the more interesting matchups of the week because the Colts have been an offensive juggernaut all season, and the Kansas City Chiefs have been a very good defensive team, but offensively have struggled. I like the Chiefs minus 3.5. I think they understand they have to continue to win football games and have to cut out all the games and start winning football games. And I think the Colts, they kind of rest on their morals sometimes, and I don't think JT is going to be able to get going like in other games. So I like the Chiefs here, but I can easily see the Colts winning this game.
Colts are the only team Pat Mahomes hasn't had a victory over in his NFL career.
Yeah.
Even when the Colts were garbage, Kansas City rolled into Indianapolis and couldn't get the job done.
I remember
this
that
game has the most intrigue for me of all of them because if the Chiefs lose, they're 5-6.
Yeah.
Folks, first time in God knows how long, maybe an 0-1 here or there, but 5-6, we're rolling into Thanksgiving, and the Broncos are running away with this division.
Absolutely, they are.
I don't think if you want to place a future on the Denver Broncos to win the Super Bowl. I mean it. That's a team that's just got it
They
together.
get after the quarterback, man. That's what they get it after the quarterback.
I'm going to take it's the points, the 3.5 points. I think this is a field goal game. And because there's a hook, I'll take the Colts plus 3.5. If it was 3, I think it'd be a pick 'em. Like I wouldn't touch it. But for the sake of the show, I'm going to take the Colts plus 3.5 on the road. If Kansas City can make them one-dimensional, and they're more than capable of doing it with that defense, like you said, if they can shut Taylor down, but that's a big assignment. You know, the offensive line for the Colts is beast mode, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
If I'm Indianapolis, I might run two. Like if I'm the Colts, I swear to God, I'm running 2 read options in the first quarter, and Daniel Jones is going to keep both of them. And if he has success on them, it's going to put Spagnuolo on. You know, now I got to maintain because Daniel Jones can run. Let's make no mistake. He can run, and I think that this game should be like the Sunday night game, in my opinion.
I agree as well.
But
at the time, at the time when they made this schedule,
well, that's starting to flex games now. Like next weekend, or not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, the Bears and the Packers got flexed to the afternoon game at least, and they put the Bengals up at that 12 o'clock spot. But nonetheless, I'm going to take the Colts and the points here. I mean, I know why the line is the way it is, but
because of the home field advantage, it's kind of crazy.
Check goes out, so I just don't. I mean, I think the Colts can win this game. I'm going to take the points here.
Well, for the start sits, there is one guy on this side that it's probably a little surprising, but I do like Patrick Mahomes as a start. He's had a couple of games in a row, but I do think they're going to figure this offense out, and he was the QB1 before the bye. After the bye, things have been kind of iffy, but he was the QB1 in fantasies. Right now, the QB3, so there's no way you're not starting him. Then Rashee Rice, he's been getting just touches since he's came back from the suspension, so I love him as a start. And Travis Kelce, the offense flows through him, even though I think it's to the detriment of the football team at times. Travis Kelce's still getting a lot of touches. Then for the Colts, I do think Jonathan Taylor is going to get a touchdown at some point in this game, even though I don't think he's going to have 7 yards a carry, 25 carries, 3 touchdowns, 200 yards. I think this is like a 65-yard game and a touchdown, maybe a couple catches for JT. So still think he's a start because of the crazy upside. And then Tyler Warren. I do think Tyler Warren is still a good start for the tight end slot. Then for the sits, Daniel Jones. That is the kind of the big, hey, why is he over here, right? Daniel Jones, I think, is going to struggle heavily against this Chiefs defense. And he struggled in games before this year against good defenses. So I like Daniel Jones as a sit, even though he's played great all year outside of the times that he plays good defenses. Alec Pierce. I'm not trusting him yet. I need a couple more weeks before I say, hey, you're starting on my lineup, unless I have to start him because he's a boomer bust type of guy. Josh Downs, disappointing year from him thus far. He's like 5th or 4th in receiving yards on that Colts offense. I thought he was their most talented guy, but they're just not utilizing him in this current offensive scheme. Then Xavier Worthy. I thought they'd scheme him up a little bit more, but the offense has gotten a lot less creative and more so on the deep shot. And they're not using Worthy on the deep shots. They're using Tyquan Thornton on the deep shots and Hollywood Brown. Worthy's just been kind of this year because he just doesn't have a role right now. And then any Chiefs running back. Kareem Hunt, I think, is okay as a flex guy, but he's only touchdown dependent. Pacheco's out. Our 7th round pick out of SMU, staying away from him as well. So, yeah, Brashard Smith, yeah. Don't like any of the running backs for KC. I was shocked we didn't get Breece Hall. I think that would help this team mightily because we just don't have a run game. We just don't have one.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, that's why I like Kansas City to, 5-6, man. It just sounds crazy to say, but nonetheless, I think it could very much happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get on to the next game. We're still just pushing on. This is another game that I'm not super excited about. One second. It's the Jets going on the road to play the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens have been playing since Lamar's been back. They had the one good game as soon as Lamar came back, but then Lamar struggled last week. But they did get the job done versus the Browns. Browns are a great defense. Baltimore's minus 13.5 point favorites. I like the Jets and Tyrod Taylor to not win the game, but I think they're going to cover those points. So I like the Jets here, even though Garrett Wilson's out. You've got A.D. Mitchell and
John Mechie,
and the other kid that they drafted. I forget his name, but he's going to
be Bobby. It's not going to matter. I think the Ravens whip their ass. Look,
I don't think they have the pot. I don't know if the Ravens are good enough. I mean, I've seen them struggle against bad teams all year.
Okay,
so I don't know.
This is at home. They're still the favorites to win the AFC South. They know they got work to do. I'm sorry, the AFC North. Yep. And I think the Jets basically threw in the white flag when they traded, Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner. And they're loading up for the future, and that's why they've pulled Justin Fields off the football team. Maybe the Jets get something going with Breece Hall. I mean, the Ravens do have a spotty defense, but the last few games they've really been playing exceptionally well. Tyrod Taylor is the prerequisite to Jalen Hurts running the ball. Like, that's the kind of quarterback that I have a comparison to with those two, but the Jets just don't scare me. I've tried to just, get this team to try to find spots in them that I like, and they had a core there, and then they ran Rodgers out of there, and once they did that, they went on a little mini winning streak there, but I think that the reason the line is as high is because Lamar Jackson is the multiple MVP of the league, MVP winner.
Yeah.
They got Derrick Henry. They've got Zay Flowers. They've got great defensive players. They've got Rashad Bateman, who I know you've picked on. They've got Mark Andrews. They're getting healthy. And when your quarterback comes back, there's a huge mismatch here. Who on the Jets is going to get to the quarterback? Their pass rush isn't great. When you got rid of Quentin Williams, you put a big gaping hole in that defense. I think Derrick Henry kind of goes off here.
Yeah,
I think
he's definitely a start for me. Absolutely. We got a comment here. Do we do fantasy advice? We absolutely do. You have any start-sit questions, any trade questions, anything like that, we answer all those types of questions on the show. Thanks for asking them. But let's go ahead and get to the start-sits, man. I definitely think the Ravens win this, and I think they win it handily. I just think the Jets are going to keep it somewhat interesting with the time of possession, and I don't think it's going to get that far out of hand. But you see a lot of Ravens on the start side. I think Lamar Jackson, best fantasy quarterback of all time, going to be a start for you every single week, even though he didn't go crazy last week. One of his only dud games all season, I believe. And Derrick Henry, I think he gets 24+ carries, so I think he's absolutely a start here. Zay Flowers, I think he's a guy that's continuing to get targets and just continuing. He's not really the biggest touchdown threat, but he's going to get you 6 for 85. So, like that. And I like Mark Andrews. Seems like when they're in the red zone, it's Derrick Henry or Mark Andrews. Pick one. Mark Andrews has been getting touchdowns every single week. So, like Mark Andrews, because of the touchdown upside. And then last but not least, the only Jet that I feel comfortable starting is Breece Hall, maybe Mason Taylor, but I'm not a big Mason Taylor guy. So I like Breece Hall as a start. I do think they're going to try to get the running game going early, and they're going to try to keep it as close and keep those drives just sustained for like 6-7 minutes at the minimum. Then for the sits, Tyrod Taylor, I need to see him play longer than 2 games. It seems like every time he plays, this has been the biggest problem. Tyrod Taylor's a good quarterback. He's always been a good quarterback. It's just you play him for 2 games, and he gets hurt, and he's out the rest of the year. It's happened over and over and over with him, man, even back in his time with the Buffalo Bills where he took him to a playoff game. Tyrod's just not a guy. I just need to see him play and not get hurt first. Josh Reynolds, stay away from him. He's been bad all year. Isaiah Davis, I think he has some pass catching upside, but I'm staying away from him as well. I think he's got a 7-point projection, staying away. And then DeAndre Hopkins and Rashad Bateman. I think Rashad Bateman, I just need to see more consistency in terms of targets for both of these guys before I feel comfortable starting them. But we do have a question here. Who should I start this week at wide receiver? Jacoby Myers, Romeo Doubs, Alec Pierce, Pearsall, Boutte. Pearsall. This would be my hierarchy here. I'd say Pearsall, Boutte, very close 1 and 2 there, and then I would go Dobbs, Pierce, Myers.
I think that's pretty accurate.
And I don't even think it's crazy to say Boutte is number 1 and Pearsall's 2. Because Boutte has been way more consistent this year than Pearsall has, promptly because he's been hurt. But moving on to the next game here. Wow. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be watching this one. The Cleveland Browns, Shedeur Sanders making his first official start. And what a team. Hey, what a team to actually make your first start against. He was not put in a great situation last week. Guys, I'll give you a little bit of my impressions on the Shedeur Sanders start, and I studied a lot of his film because everybody said he was the QB1, QB2 of the class. He was my QB, I think, 14 or 13 in the class. I was not a big Shedeur Sanders guy. But nonetheless, they're going on the road to Las Vegas. The Raiders are 3.5-point favorites. I like the Browns pretty easily here. Geno Smith might objectively be a worse quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. Geno Smith is horrid. And this Browns defense is going to be really the difference maker. I think this game's close. I think this game runs through the running game of Quinshon Judkins and Ashton Jeanty. I'd like the Browns to be more sustainable on offense because the Raiders gave Ashton Jeanty the ball 7 times for 6 yards last week. They just did not want to run him whatsoever. And every time you run him, he gets tackled from behind the line of scrimmage because the offensive line's so much worse. So I like the Browns here, plus 3.5 pretty easily. I think this is the line I feel the best about out of pretty much all of them.
Boy, the Raiders got demoralized by Monday Night Football by Dallas. Yeah. But they're not playing Dallas. They're playing a rookie quarterback making their start on the road. Myles Garrett could be up there for Defensive Player of the Year.
He's going crazy.
But don't forget, the Raiders got a Max Crosby. And I think that he can make Shedeur Sanders' night a living hell. I mean, the Browns, I think, are going to have to minimize their offense so much that it's going to be a big Quinshon Judkins fest here. I think 25 carries is in store here. I don't think, Stefanski trusts Shedeur Sanders to make plays on the road. There's a reason that he hasn't suited up all year. He wouldn't be playing if Dylan Gabriel was not in concussion protocol.
Yep.
But you're right about the Raiders. The Raiders are – I don't even think it's Geno Smith is as awful as he's been. It's the O-line.
Yep.
This offseason, the Raiders have got to draft linemen because they've got Brock Bowers, they've got Jeanty. Geno Smith has shown he can play when he's got protection. He led the NFC in passing 3 years ago.
Yep.
And if you give him time, he can do good things, not just average things. He can do good things.
Yeah.
And they've got key players on defense. I think the Raiders win this game. But I don't know if they cover 3.5. But I do. I don't. I can see why you take the Browns at the point. But I'm going to take the Raiders here. I think that Pete Carroll might have a little trick up his sleeve because he knows. Dallas's front. They want to make jokes about Dallas's defense. The secondary is kind of bad, but they're with Quentin Williams.
Quentin Williams was making issues. I mean, he was forcing the issue. He made a lot of plays.
But the Browns have that too with Mason Graham, and they've got Myles Garrett. But I feel like you're not going to fool Pete Carroll twice. I think that Chip Kelly's going to have a little something here. It just feels like a Raiders win. I might take the 3.5. I'm going to take the Raiders on the points here and be the devil's advocate.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the start sits. So for the starts, I do like Harold Fannin. I think he's a cheat code in your tight end slot. You definitely need to start him. Jerry Jeudy, I'm hesitantly. It's hard to find players to start in this game. Harold Fannin, I feel good about. Judkins, I feel really good about. Brock Bowers, Genty, of course, I feel good about both of them. Genty gave you almost 10 fantasy points last week, despite having 7 yards rushing.
They shouldn't.
I mean, give him the ball at the backfield. He's doing stuff with it, man. So
they should not have drafted him. The Raiders should not have drafted him. Look, you needed linemen. There's got to be they have to fix this offensive line because they have Brock Bowers. He's more generational than Ashton Jeanty. I think they fell in love with his tape, and I think that once the Raiders fix this offensive line, you'll see Jeanty pay off. But running backs age, like milk, and you got to be a really special player to have longevity in here. It's just a swing and a miss, not because of his talent. It's because they just need offensive linemen. I don't know.
The timeline's just not going to be there, I don't think.
What's the Raiders' cap situation? What's their cap? You might be able to go sign somebody in the offseason. I mean, 2 players would make a world of difference, and you're going to be picking top 5.
Yep.
So go get yourself a premier, elite, Penei Sewell, Paris Johnson, get yourself that left tackle, that generational left tackle. That's where you start. And everything else will fall into place because you'll have free agents that'll be better than whatever the hell you got. I mean, I think their right guard or left guard, one of their guards is just an atrocious football player. Pete Carroll's got to be screaming because he likes to run the football.
But nonetheless, he can't do it. He just can't do it right now. Even as talented as Genty is, there's not a running back in the NFL that's going to just be able to turn, water into wine constantly, and that's just not what Genty's going to be able to do, as talented as he is. But for the sits, Shedeur Sanders. Guys, let me go ahead and tell you, I think Shedeur Sanders is a very accurate quarterback, and he's got a very low ceiling. He's got an okay floor, but a very low ceiling in terms of his overall outcome as a player. I had Dylan Gabriel as like a Case Keenum type, and Dylan Gabriel was like my QB 6. Shedeur Sanders was considerably lower than that because of one critical flaw. He loves to run backwards in the pocket, run backwards out of the pocket, and take 20-yard sacks. You saw that in his limited starts last week. His limited tape, he did that multiple times, got sacked for big-time losses. He threw the pick too, but I'm not really worried about the picks. If he can step up in the pocket and really throw and rip it, he can be an okay game manager quarterback. But he's got some serious mechanic flaws when it comes to staying in the pocket. He just can't do it. And that's going to have to be coached out of him. And I think the Raiders are really going to get after him, and you're going to see him take 15-yard sacks. And as soon as Dylan Gabriel gets healthy, he's going to be the quarterback again because of that issue alone. But David Njoku, he's been mid all year, kind of the biggest bust in terms of tight ends. And then none of the wide receivers for the Raiders I like. Thornton has been putting up multiple zero dud games. Jack Besh has just been – I loved his tape at TCU. He just hasn't been panning out. I don't know who would pan out in this type of situation outside of Brock Bowers. And then Tyler Lockett. Who was going to be the go-to guy at wide receiver for the Raiders? It's Tyler Lockett for some weird reason, and he's giving you like 7 points a game, so I'm staying away from him as well.
Because that's Pete Carroll's boy.
Yeah, I get it, but I mean, I feel like Besh and Thornton are both more talented than Lockett at this point, but Lockett's just more reliable with his hands, I guess. So we'll go ahead and keep on rolling. Another game that's very interesting, got a lot of interesting matchups. Got the Jacksonville Jaguars going to Arizona playing the Cardinals. Weird state of Cardinals football right now. The Jaguars 6-5, I believe, right now. They're minus 2.5 point favorites, even though they're going on the road. How do you like this? I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this line at all. No, Trey Brinson's looking like he's trying to play this week. I don't think he does, but yeah, how do you feel about this line?
So the Cardinals are in a unique situation here because last week against the 49ers, Jacoby Brissett completed 40-odd passes. Like,
yeah,
you're doing something right.
Record.
You're doing something right. And I've talked about the Jaguars' defense. I like their front pressure, but the Cardinals aren't exactly the worst team. They just had bad outcomes. There's two different things here. First of all, I like Trey McBride he's just been absolutely lighting it up with Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah.
And Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't know if he's going to play or not, but it didn't seem to matter last week because he was cooking with Michael Wilson. So based on those two things alone, I think that they can keep the Jaguars defense in check. I mean, what's his name? DeMarcado is ruled out, so it's going to be the Michael Carter show.
Yep.
Cardinals have been absolutely decimated at the running back position all year this year. Yeah. And I think in the offseason you're going to see when it's time to do drafting, they need to get a premier pass rusher, I think. But if they don't, they might be in a position here to look to get off Kyler Murray. I don't know who would take that. I mean, there's going to be suitors, though. If Kyler Murray goes for sale, there's going to be – I think the Vikings might take a look at what's going on.
Raiders, yeah, any of the Saints even, maybe.
The Saints don't have the cap space. You're going to have to look at a team that's going to be able to take that albatross of a contract that he's signed to.
Yeah.
But I think, like Brian Thomas Jr. is not going to play. He's out of the game. They got no Travis Hunter.
No.
I trust the Cardinals to win the game here. I'm sprinkling the money line. It's really close line for a reason. When your skill players are all the way backed up, that Brian Thomas has been ruled out.
That's why there's a question mark next to his name, fellas. Monday, did not know if he was going to play, and he's not. So that makes me feel even less good about the Jaguars here. But T-Law's been getting rushing touchdowns like crazy for whatever reason. He's going to give you one touchdown, one pick, 250 yards, and a rushing touchdown. That's enough to start him. Travis Etienne still playing decently. He slowed down considerably from the beginning of the year, but he's still playing like a top 15 back in the NFL for fantasy. I don't like any of the receivers, really, for Jacksonville. Parker Washington, maybe, but I don't think so. De'Ami Brown, maybe. I don't know. I'm not starting any of the wide receivers for Jacksonville. But Jacoby Brissett and Trey McBride, man. Those are the two guys that's going to be cooking. Trey McBride's getting the touchdowns. He's getting the targets. He's getting the yards. Jacoby Brissett is just continuing to light up the fantasy scoreboard right now. With who would have thought that coming? I mean, Jacoby Brissett's played a lot of teams, and he's never been just a fantasy stud. For whatever reason, McBride and Michael Wilson are making him that stud. So I like Brissett as a start, weirdly enough. And then sits Parker Washington, Bayshore Tootin. They just don't have a big enough role right now. And then I don't know who's playing wide receiver outside of Michael Wilson. Greg Dortch is there. Bam Knight, Michael Carter. I'm not bought into that running back room at all. And Greg Dortch is just, I like him as a talent, but he's just an undersized kind of utility guy. I think Michael Wilson's kind of worth a start, but guys, that was his first ever 100-yard game in his entire career. I just need to see more consistency from him. But nonetheless, if you have a weak team and you need a flex play, I guess Michael Wilson's that guy for you. But I'm cautious right now.
Before we move on, a couple notes about the Cardinals here. So I live out here in Arizona, so I hear, the news a little more frequently about them than anybody else. And, a lot of fans, I think, have had it with Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon. But there's a calmness about what they're doing. I think they've put together a quality football team.
They keep hitting on draft picks.
That's what I'm saying. They've got Mac Wilson. They've got Paris Johnson. They got what's his name? I
Will
keep
Anderson?
forgetting. Huh?
Or Will Johnson? Will Johnson
Yep.
from Michigan? Yeah.
Yep.
He's
Will
a
Johnson.
stud.
You got Trey McBride, and you're winning football game. I think what's happening here is they're seeing that they've got a talented football team, and I'm starting to really wonder now if Kyler Murray just isn't the right fit. Not that
I
he's
agree.
a bad player. It's not that he's a bad player, but this offense is drawn for your more traditional quarterback. I don't think the Cardinals pick in the top 10, but I think if they get a trade partner for somebody to take Kyler, because they can get first round picks for him. He's still young. He's there's teams that would scheme him properly. I don't think that Gannon is the right guy to scheme for him. That's, I think, a thing about football is sometimes we think that players just aren't good and they're just not the right fit.
Look at Baker Mayfield, man. People thought he was going to be a perennial backup, right? And then all of a sudden he goes to same with Sam Darnold. Both same draft class, right? Who knows? Maybe Josh Rosen, if he would have just not been, so full of himself, maybe he could have had some sort of career.
There are some Cardinal fans that like to say we could have kept Josh Rosen, but I say he didn't pick it up anywhere. So, you know who?
He was in horrendously bad situations, though. I mean, the Cardinals, they shipped him off to the Dolphins, who were the worst team that year. Then you go to the Falcons, just was a backup at there. So it's like he just never had a good shot. But I also heard he had some really bad personality issues as well. So
Ryan Leaf
kind of did it to himself. Yeah.
But I think that there might be a team. We'd have to. This could be a topic of discussion when we do the offseason here.
Yeah.
But if the Cardinals can, move up to whoever will be looking at a quarterback, the New York Jets might come calling.
Yeah.
They got multiple first round picks. So let's just say,
man. Your quarterbacks that are fast and athletic but aren't really the greatest passers. Well,
here's the thing.
They did that right this year.
Somebody's gonna say we can fix him, and I think if the Cardinals go quarterback in this draft and they're picking in the top 10, I can see them taking more of a traditional imagine Ty Simpson throwing to Trey McBride.
I don't think Ty Simpson goes out of the top 3 picks, and I don't think any of those teams. Any of the teams with the top 3 picks, I don't think they're looking at Kyler and be like, "Oh yeah, Kyler." I think there's better quarterbacks objectively. Like Mendoza, I think is better than Kyler right now, and I think Ty Simpson is better than Kyler right now, which is kind of crazy to say, but Kyler is just very much a one-read type of quarterback right now. So, but comment here. BTJ out another week, unfortunately. Shout out Fantasy Football Strategist. He's the GOAT. Yep, he's out again. Not a single Jaguar I'm starting this week. But we'll go ahead and move on to look, these two teams played early on in the year, and people were just saying the Eagles are just going to smash them. The Cowboys are crap, trash. It was a very competitive football game, and the Cowboys could have easily won that game. Javonte Williams had a great game, right? CD had a great game, but he dropped the game-winning, touchdown. It would have been on that deep post. I remember that game like it was yesterday. But they're going to Jerry's world, and they're 3.5-point favorites. And the Eagles' offense has been atrocious the past 3-4 weeks now. They just haven't been able to get Saquon going because of the offensive line play. Lane Johnson looks like he's going to be out for a significant amount of time, which when he came out for a few series, Saquon couldn't get nothing going. So, call me crazy. I think the Cowboys win this football game. I'm going to go to Dallas Cowboys plus 3.5, and I think the money line for this would be good. But I'm not the sports bettor, but I think the Cowboys got significantly better as an organization, as a football team from week 1 to now, right? Pickens and CD are 100% healthy. You've got Javonte, who's seasoned in. You've got Quinnen Williams. I think this team goes out there and wins it.
Yeah, Deron Bland had himself a breakout game. The Raiders were a get-right game, though. Mm-hmm. But I think that there's, we still have a disgruntled A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts can't listen. I watched Jalen Hurts play football at Alabama. I knew he was kind of limited with what he does. He's got a great work ethic. He's a great team leader. But again, there are wide receivers in the league who just care about certain things. And, when you're winning football games, I just can't understand the mentality of being too irritated with winning football games, unless it's affecting your pay, and that it's not like Roseman isn't paying that guy. He just needs to go out there and ball out. And, he got him a couple passes last week, but I think Philadelphia is like the Chiefs last year, right? The cracks are there, and this is a loaded football team. Let's make no mistake about it.
Loaded.
The front for the Eagles, the front seven, it's just Georgia Bulldog football with a touch of Alabama in the secondary. But offensively, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm going to make Saquon's life a living hell with Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark. Like, that's a dream. You've got enough push at the defensive tackle position to where you're going to have to compromise the interior part of your line, and all you got to do is play contain. And if you just spy Jalen Hurts, I'm not making fun of the Cowboys defense. I think the Cowboys win the game out right here. Dak Prescott is a great quarterback. What we got here? Quinnen Williams makes significant impact. That is correct. Crimson Tide. It's going to be Crimson Tide violence on Crimson Sooner violence, because Hurts claims Bama, whether the Bama.
I drafted as a Sooner, man. Yeah, I drafted as a Sooner.
But here's the funny part: every time he's been in an interview, he's always wearing Alabama gear underneath it. And he hasn't been exactly a fantasy stud lately. He hasn't, because he's not getting
the rushing touchdowns.
He's been more streaky than people want to admit, because they're not lighting it up like they did last year. It's so hard to maintain a standard of excellence in the NFL. Yep. It's just incredibly difficult to do. And this isn't college football, where you can just go out and recruit the best. You've got to maintain and keep these
losing
players.
People, right? You lost Jason Kelsey, who, people want to say he's old and needed to retire. He was a pivotal part of that offensive line. Lane Johnson has been great, but he's been banged up all year. He's not 100% healthy. It's just like, Saquon, let's admit it, guys. He had a lot of 70, 80-yard breakaway runs, and that's just not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. And we're seeing some of the cracks, right? But I do think Jalen Hurts and Barkley are still starts versus, this defense that still has a lot of issues. I do like Quinnen Williams. I think that was a big-time upgrade, one of the few moves that I liked that the Cowboys made this year. But outside of that, there's not – Deron Bland's nice, but the defense has been poor all year. They had their first really good performance last week versus the Raiders, which – is that more on the Cowboys or is that more on the Raiders being terrible? That's to say, this is going to be a big test for the Cowboys. And I'd like CD, Pickens, and Dak. They have just been cooking. George Pickens is like up there. I think he's number 2 in receiving yards right now. He's got almost 1,000 receiving yards. He's only behind JSN right now in the receiving yards, I believe. And CeeDee Lamb, of course, he's going to get the targets. He's going to be able to get some plays. And Dak Prescott's been playing, he's had a couple of meh games, but he's been playing really good football this year. And then for the sits, A.J. Brown, I'm sorry, I'm sitting him. I can't continue to play him. He's got the talent, sure, but it's like the Zay Flowers thing, except they target Zay Flowers. A.J. Brown doesn't. I think Zay Flowers is a great wide receiver. He's just limited in the offense. It's like comedically limiting for A.J. Brown in this offense. They just don't throw the ball. And when they do throw the ball, it's quick throws that aren't what A.J. Brown does. So don't like A.J. Brown. Jahan Dotson is just not a guy I'm staying away from Jahan Dotson all year. I'm sorry, guys. Somebody's got to be on the sit list, and it's Jahan Dotson. Tank Bigsby, stay away from him. Saquon's getting all the carries. Tank Bigsby is just a role player in this offense. Since A.J. Dillon was meh, they went out and grabbed Bigsby for a bag of Doritos. Jaden Blue, stay away from him as well. He's just not getting the the attempts, and Javonte Williams could have easily made this list for the starts because I like him as well. He just needs a touchdown because he doesn't get a ton of receiving upside. And then any other Cowboys wide receiver, Tolbert, Turpin, any of those guys, stay away from them, obviously, because you've got the two superstars, and that's about it. Go ahead and keep this show trucking. Next up, oh man, some NFC
Banger.
Oh my goodness! I genuinely have no idea who's going to win this football game.
Oh, I do. I do.
I guess the Saints is who I would lean towards because
right.
Kirk Cousins, he's playing Penix, his 5th season-ending knee injury in 8 years. I genuinely don't know why. Look, I didn't understand the Penix draft spot for the Falcons. Obviously, it's brain rot for me because you have a quarterback that you're paying an ass ton of money for, and then you immediately sign him to a big deal, and then you draft a guy that's had 4 season-ending injuries in 6 years of college. That just doesn't make any sense, and it's come back to bite him. Drake London's not playing, so you've got Darnell Mooney, who's been banged up all year, and Bijan Robinson. Kyle Pitts probably going to have a prominent role. The Saints have been somewhat competitive. They were competitive against the Bills. At this point, is that even impressive anymore? I don't know. But I do like the Saints minus 1.5 in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
I like Tyler Shuck. I mean, listen, Kirk Cousins can do it. I mean, we've seen him do it in Washington. We've seen him do it in Minnesota. He can absolutely do it, but I've got to see him do it. Like, it's only one start last week, and now he knows it. He's got a weekend, and he's going on the road here in a spot with a defense that isn't exactly great, but these teams are both on life support. Remember, the Rams got the Falcons' first-round pick, so they don't get to go and, get some immediate top tier.
The Rams, I bet they feel great about that.
Yeah, so
they're going to get a top 8 pick.
Yep, that's like the biggest. It's just
they're a poorly ran franchise. That's just it is what it is.
Both the Saints need to fire Mickey Loomis though for putting them in cap hell and keeping this team down for so long, and she just won't do it. The owner Benson just won't fire him. And Arthur Blank, the Falcons have had seasons where they've been great, and they've had seasons where they've been lousy. And I wasn't too high on Atlanta going into this season. I'm going to take the Saints to win the game by, this is going to be 17-13. I'm going to take the Saints to win. I do kind of like what I'm seeing with Tyler Shuck. I thought Spencer Rattler got the hook a little early, but the Saints just aren't winning football. He had 2 really lousy games all season. The one against Seattle, and I think it was the one against Chicago that kind of just did him in.
3 picks versus Chicago he was just trying to go out there and make plays and make something happen because he knew that I'm assuming once they got to the bye, they were like, hey, they probably told him, like, hey, Shuck's probably coming in at the bye just to see what we have. So makes sense. But we got a good point here. So the Saints, their defense is actually okay. I mean, we've seen them, kind of sustain, the Bills. They were like, hey, we're going to keep the offense off the field for the Bills. But the offense, like you said, just couldn't move. Couldn't move the ball down the field, and they lose these close games. But you know what? I do like Kirk Cousins, man. Last year, before they went with Penix, he broke the single-game passing record for the Falcons. He had 500 and something yards last year. And I know this receiving core is limited because of Drake London, but I think Kirk Cousins can put up some stats. I just don't think the defense is going to be able to win this game for him. I like Bijan, obviously, highest ceiling of any running back probably in terms of a consistency standpoint. Then I do think Kyle Pitts is worth a start just because I think they're going to be playing him out wide a lot more. And then Chris Olave, Jawan Johnson, absolutely. I love Chris Olave this year. I was not high on him to start the year, but he has proven me wrong. He stayed healthy for pretty much all year, and he's been getting targets. And Jawan Johnson's been an okay consistency guy at the tight end position. Then for the sits, Shuck's got to show me a little bit more. I know he had a decent game last week. I need to see a little bit more before I comfortably start you. The Falcons are atrociously bad, so we'll see how he does. I think Kamara, stay away from him as well. He's just been really piss poor this year. Vele, I think he's probably going to be their wide receiver, their main slot guy outside of Olave. Staying away from him as well. Darnell Mooney could be their wide receiver one, but he's had really bad drop issues this year. And then Kadarrell Hodge. Could you imagine seeing Kadarrell Hodge's name on a graphic in 2025? Well, here he is. Stay away from him, obviously, as well.
Simple, easy Japanese there. That's really good stuff.
Well, now we have two juggernaut quarterbacks. No, Baker Mayfield's cooled down a little bit the past few weeks. And you know who hasn't cooled down? Matthew Stafford. That dude.
No.
He is just cooking. He leads the NFL in touchdowns right now. Up towards the top in passing yards as well. He might actually be the I think Drake May leads the NFL in passing yards right now. But regardless of that, I know the Buccaneers have had a lot of injuries on both sides of the ball this year. The Rams have been somewhat healthy pretty much all year outside of Puka getting hurt for that little bit of time. With the healthiness of the Rams and them being at SoFi Stadium, the Buccaneers have to travel literally all the way across the country. The Rams are 7-point favorites. I think this game's closer than that. I do think the Rams win, but I'm going to say the Buccaneers cover these points. I'm going to take the Buccaneers +7. I think this is a field goal game.
I think the Rams beat the piss out of them. Listen, Tampa Bay is without Chris Godwin. They're without Mike Evans. They're without Bucky Irving. Emeka Egbuka was my favorite sell-high candidate like week 3, week 4. I didn't think it was sustainable. It's not.
Obviously, it wasn't sustainable. He's good.
I made some good dynasty trades in one league that I had him. I sold him at a very high price. I made a trade for Jamar Chase, and I got Egbuka and 3 firsts way back before the season started, right? I decided to tear my team down, and he was my key player. So 3 firsts in Egbuka, and then I ended up selling Egbuka. I'll look it up here in a minute, but I'm taking the Rams, you're not going to see Sean Tucker go ballistic on this team.
Sean Tucker's so streaky, man. I like what you're saying here. Rachaad White has been one of the biggest hot, cold guys. I mean, he was one of the worst volume statistic guys. He was like Chase Brown last year. In 2023, Rachaad White was the Chase Brown of 2023. But, yeah, man, I think Sean Tucker, he does have a good skill set, but...
So here's the Egbuka. So I traded Chase for Egbuka and 327 firsts. And then to the same person, he needed Egbuka, and I got Bryce Young and Malik Neighbors. So
yeah, well,
highway robbery.
Obviously, you see Bucky Irving on this list. At that point in time, I think there's some off the field stuff going on there, some internal issues with Bucky Irving. That's what I'm hearing rumors of, because I think he's fully healthy right now. They're just keeping him off the field for either personal reasons or there's some issues going on within the organization with him. I'm not sure, but I do like Baker Mayfield. Cut Bucky Irving off this graphic, obviously. Emeka Egbuka, I think, is worth a start. Matthew Stafford, obviously, lighting it up with touchdowns. And Puka Nacua is probably one of the best wide receivers for fantasy. Don't like him as a dynasty asset just because of the durability concerns, but I do think he's a great fantasy wide receiver. Then for the sits, Rachaad White, maybe Sean Tucker's worth a start as a flex play, but I'm not completely sold on him yet. But Rachaad White, Chris Godwin, he's out. Rachaad White probably gets way more carries than he's supposed to, and he's going to be really atrocious with them. None of the wide receivers outside of Egbuka. I like Tez Johnson kind of, but I don't know if I'm sold on him just yet. Corum, he's the backup. Stay away from him. Jordan Whittington is good when Puka's out, but he's playing, so Whittington's going to be a role player. And Terrence Ferguson, I do like his talent as terms of an athlete. They're just not giving him the ball as much right now. So
simple.
Let's keep on trucking, man. Next game. This is the Monday night game. Panthers. And actually, fun fact, Me and my buddy Rico, we're playing in our main league this week, and
Rico, huh?
I think it's going to come down to the wire. My team
Mm.
is ridiculously stacked, but his team's been hot streaking. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey versus Tet and Ricky Pearsall in this game, and I think that's going to be the deciding factor this week. But with this game, it's a little interesting because the Panthers, we still don't know if they're a good team or not. They're 6-5, I believe, 6-4. They're beating the shit out of teams.
Who said that the Panthers might make the playoffs this year?
I don't know if that's a true statement. I don't know if they're a good or bad team yet. I don't know. They're winning games that they're not supposed to, and they're losing games that they're not supposed to. It's all over the place.
Somebody, me, said that they were a dark horse to get the 7 seed. And it's looking like that's possible. I think, listen, the Panthers are on the outside, or I'm sorry, the 49ers are on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't trust Ricky Pearsall. I mean, there's something going on. There's something that's never being brought to the light about the wide receivers in San Francisco. There's something that they don't like about Kyle Shanahan. And it's not just him. It's the same thing with Mike Tomlin. There's something going on that the wide receivers that are really talented just don't want to play there. The 49ers today said, well, we're going to void Ayuk's contract, his guaranteed money. So why? Is he hurt? Are they doing, some of the stuff that the Browns might be doing with Deshaun Watson? They don't want him out there. What is it? What is it that Kyle Shanahan is arrogant enough to say, we're just going to keep going with Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall? Like, those guys aren't proven. Juwan Jennings did have that one little playoff run where they were, and could have had the 49ers won the Super Bowl. he would have been MVP of that game, that one game that they were in. But they didn't win because they're not, Shanahan is just the epitome of, like when the pressure's on, he just can't get the job done. Let's just call it. I mean, we got this. I got a trophy right here, and that trophy's actually got more than Kyle Shanahan's trophies, and that's crazy. That's a fantasy football trophy back there. So Kyle Shanahan wins all these games, but I'm taking the Panthers to win the game. I'm taking the money line here. Listen, they don't have Nick Bosa. They don't have Fred Warner. I think
they're banged up with a capital.
Rico Dowdle is going to have himself a game against this 49ers defense. And I think that we're going to see the Panthers kind of get to Brock Purdy. They might step on his little turf toe and he might have another injury and be out for the season. Lord only knows. But
yeah,
I'll take the Panthers here. I think that they've got more gusto. The 49ers are just kind of just like, we're just kind of they're 7 seed for the reason. Last year we saw how Brock Purdy carried the football team to a 6-11 record when he didn't have his all-world players out there. But he's so elite. So I'm so glad they paid him that money. It's already paying dividends to the max.
I think the 49ers may claw their way a victory, but I don't think it's going to be enough for them to cover the points. I do like the Panthers +7 here. But
before you students start sits, is that a Panthers pun, like clawing
their way in? No, it wasn't intentional. But Purdy had a decent performance. It looked really similar to what the Mac Jones performance was, right? He's had multiple 3-touchdown games. Purdy had a 3-touchdown game as well. I think this game is going to be built on who gets to run the football better. And Bryce Young, he's coming off a great week. He's had multiple really bad stinker games for fantasy. The 49ers just are not a great defense right now because of how banged up they are. So I like Bryce Young here. I just need to see him continue to thrive. I want him to succeed so bad because I love the guy as a person. I just need him to continue to succeed. And Rico Dowdle is going to legitimately get 25 carries this week. He's second in the league in rushing, only behind Jonathan Taylor. Is that insane? That is insane.
It's not because, they've improved there substantially. Remember, the Panthers were a laughing stock Bryce's first year, and they were still kind of that last year. Now, They're in year 3. Good for them for hanging on to their franchise quarterback. Dave Canales has really turned it around there.
Yeah.
His running backs have thrived. I mean, Rashad White, when Dave Canales was the offensive coordinator there in Tampa, he had almost 70 catches. He's got a way of putting these players in position to succeed at what
Absolutely.
they do. He's one of those coaches that builds around the roster as opposed to the roster needing to be built around his philosophy.
Yep.
I think the Panthers are going to eventually overtake Tampa. Not this year. I don't think it'll happen this year, but eventually I think they're going to be the cream of the crop of that division.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't too long ago when they were making Super Bowls, man. It's about 10 years ago now. So, and then Ted McMillan, I think, is a gem that they landed. I mean, Ted McMillan was my wide receiver 1. Him and Travis Hunter, obviously, were tied for my wide receiver 1s this year. Ted McMillan has all of the shades of Drake London. Like, he's just got great hands, great size, surprising yak ability. And he's been cooking, man. He at first, the beginning of the year, he was like 10 points, 12 points, 10 points, 9 points, 10 points. And now he's up there getting you 20-point games. He's getting the touchdown upside. And I think Bryce is finally getting some rapport with him. And then for the 49ers, I do think Brock Purdy's worth a start. I mean, I think he's got the passing yard upside. I don't know if the rushing upside is going to be there right now because of the turf toe injury, but I do think he's worth a start versus this Carolina Panthers defense. The 49ers, in terms of pressure rate, 31st in the NFL. The only team that is worse than them is the Carolina Panthers. These teams do not get after the quarterback very well. So I do think with the pressure rate, Brock Purdy is going to be able to stay in the pocket, be a little comfortable. And then Christian McCaffrey, I mean, you have to start him. Yep. He's like second or third in the NFL in receptions, second or third in the NFL in targets. It's just insane. But for the sits, Shawan Jennings, he's so banged up, it's insane. I don't even know how he's getting cleared to play. Kendrick Bourne with Ricky Pearsall coming back, he's probably more of a rotational role player guy. JT Sanders, who I really liked coming out of college, man, he just isn't getting the targets. He's been banged up a little bit this year. I hope he gets a bigger role, but right now Tet is the guy there. Coker gets a touchdown here or there, but I just was never a big cokehead guy. And Chuba Hubbard, man, it's not your fault, man. It's Rico Dowdle's just better, and that's why I sold Chuba in the offseason. I was like, I'm legitimately worried about Rico Dowdle, and that ended up coming to fruition. So I'm sitting Chuba Hubbard as well, obviously.
Curious to see what the Panthers are going to do next year when Jonathan Brooks comes back. You know, we just don't know.
Yeah,
we just don't know. I mean, it's just hard to, we can speculate all we want, but I'm curious. There might be because I don't know if they're going to extend Dowdle. We'll see. They'll know what they're doing. I actually think that they're on the up and up there in Carolina. So, fantastic stuff. Does that kind of wrap it up?
That's it, man. That is all of it.
Well, we haven't fully decided what we're going to do next week. Like I said, we might figure something out for maybe a quick show on Tuesday to kind of preview the Thanksgiving holiday, and then we'll definitely do something Black Friday, maybe after the NFL game, because the Bears play. I think the Bears is it the Chiefs on Black Friday? I know the Bears play on Black Friday, but what a great preview. We got through this pretty quickly, almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Fantasy seasons are wrapping up. Do you, in your dynasty leagues, do you have any trade deadlines?
I'm in 26 leagues. There's trade deadlines for me are week. Well, let me look, because it's
some dynasty leagues have no trade deadlines. And
mine does, but it's the week before playoffs start. So like week 15, 14.
Thank you, sir. Good show. Appreciate the fantasy football strategist. Bobby, we may need to get the fantasy football strategist to join us on day 3 of our NFL draft coverage if he's brave enough to show.
Dude, last year me and him did the draft coverage, man, and it was a blast, man. It was one of the funnest parts of the offseason for me. I mean, we had graphics cooked up. It was a whole lot of fun.
He's got to join us then, for sure. I remember you telling me before, like when we first started doing these shows, but I didn't know that was him. That's from the league that I'm in with you, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know that was guys, subscribe to his channel, the Fantasy Football Strategist channel.
I'm
check
burnt
him
out
out.
on making videos. He was burnt out on making videos like 2 or 3 months ago, and now he's dropping videos like literally every single day. He's just churning them out, man.
You're burnt out on making videos, huh?
I'll be back soon. Just give me a little bit of time.
Well, your best stuff is off season stuff. So, and you do all the stuff for the show, so I can kind of see it.
Yeah.
If you're constantly having to do that kind of content creation, that's not for everybody. I couldn't do it. It's hard to do that stuff every single day. Like that's crazy difficult to do. And I mean, I just don't know how people do it. You guys are all young though, so
Yeah.
you don't have like all this right here. You don't have white hair on your face like I do. You got little kids. Like, look at your background. You got
Yeah.
little girl playing in there,
Well,
and
I play guitar in here, and my little girl's like, "Hey, I want all my stuff in here with you." So here
it
you go.
might be an idea to have you bust out a little guitar when we got the fantasy football strategist on, doing some seventh round karaoke as we're starting to get delirious from all the live draft.
I've performed in a few venues in my lifetime. So
You what?
I've performed in a few venues in my lifetime.
Yeah, just got to get a little Megadeth going on there. Play Symphony of Destruction to write us out on the Mr. Irrelevant. Maybe you need to come up with a Mr. Irrelevant song that it could be like at the end of the college basketball season when they play One Shining Moment. Bobby's big board band, his big swing band, could come out and play Mr. Irrelevant, a ballad to the NFL draft.
Yeah.
I
You
think
know
there's
who's almost Mr. Irrelevant this year? Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt was almost Mr. Irrelevant this year. He was like 3 or 4 picks off. Isn't that insane? He's actually a decent football player too. So,
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for giving us your Friday evenings. We love doing this show.
absolutely.
Thanks for asking the questions. Go subscribe to Bobby's Big Board for all your best fantasy content. Go subscribe to the Fantasy Football Strategist. He's got daily videos. Evidently, he's churning them out like butter. So
Turning
go
them.
watch his stuff. Go like and subscribe his channel. I just want to say the 49ers are going to lose. I think they're going to lose to the Panthers. I just had to get that out there. We know that the Packers are going to handle business. And next week also is going to be pretty action-packed for our Friday show because we're going to lead off. I'm thinking something I'm just going to put Bobby on the spot on camera since it's a rivalry week. Maybe we do 10 games next week because there will be some pretty juicy.
A lot of really good games next week.
Yep. This is like the epitome because there's games all day Black Friday. The Egg Bowl's on Black Friday, is it not?
I will be at that game, so we may need to.
We'll figure something out. So just so you guys know, with the holiday week, maybe we'll just do everything Tuesday. Maybe we'll just get the whole shit.
We may want to do that because I will be in Starkville for the Egg Bowl. I got the tickets already. So
fantastic stuff, Bobby. You got anything else you want to promote?
Nah, man. I know there's certain people have been hitting me up asking where the video's at. They will be coming. I've got a few in the works now, but just give it a little bit of time. I'm thinking probably December is when the first few videos will be coming out. So just
take the week off for the holiday. We'll just do our show. I know our show I don't think it takes a whole lot of time for you to set it up. So, but with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your weekends. Enjoy the games tomorrow. And thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and we will see y'all in a few days. Have a great week.